Greetings, salutations, respect and love. You are in the Prog Corner, cats and kittens, and today we are continuing our series, My Favorite Albums. Yesterday, we did the Prog 1 through 50. Today, we're doing the non-Prog. Yeah, last week I did 1 through 15, so technically today, I'm doing 16 through 50. And these are just my favorites. These aren't the best. These are just the records that I love and I've been listening to my whole life in some cases. But here we go at number 50. It's Neutral Milk Hotels in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Yeah, this is the indie crowd's darling. Jeff Mangum, the main guy in the band, kind of went insane after this. His second album as Neutral Milk Hotel, and it's just unbelievable when he sings, "I love you, Jesus Christ." You know you're in for a ride. There's nothing like Neutral Milk Hotel, and there never will be again. At number 49, it's Devo's second album, Duty Now for the Future, from 1979. I almost went with the first album, the Brian Eno produced, Question, Are We Not Men? Answer, We Are Devo. But I like the songs on this one better. Just awesome. I love Devo. At number 48, it's Some Girls from the Rolling Stones. Yeah, I'm a big Brian Jones fan. And I wanted to do maybe an earlier record from the Stones, but honestly, this is my favorite Rolling Stones album, 1978. It's got the cool album cover that they got in a little bit of trouble for, I guess. But all the songs on here are just amazing. I love it. Tattoo You was a good album, but this was their last great album, I think. At number 47... it's Jane's Addiction and Ritual De Lo Habitual, their third album. Their second studio album. Their first album was actually a live album, which is really cool. But this is the album right here, boys and girls, that Perry Farrell and the boys discovered prog rock. Side 2 is nothing but prog, but side 1's got the shorter, punchier songs like Been Caught Stealing and stuff like that. But this is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. I just love it. Next up, at number 46... it's the Decemberists and Hazards of Love. I could have gone with the Crane Wife. There's a bunch of records from these guys that I love, but this is their proggiest album. It's got the Rake song on it, which I absolutely adore. A lot of prog rockers really enjoy the Decemberists, and why not? Their music is expansive, it's experimental, it's outstanding. Colin Malloy, just such a great talent. I love him. Next up at number 45, it's Blonde Redhead and Misery is a Butterfly. I love Blonde Redhead, led by the great Kazuma Kino and two Italian twin brothers. Their music is lush. This particular album, though, the sepia-toned features all throughout. Every track on here, it's beautiful. It's haunting. It's just a fantastic album. I love Blonde Redhead. They got a new album coming out. I'm really psyched. Very cool stuff. At number 44, let's go to Iceland. Yeah. And it's Sigur Ros and Jadis Bergum. I don't know anything about, what weird language these guys are speaking. I guess they invented their own language. It's not Icelandic, but wow, I just love Sigur Ros. This is their best album by far. It really just set the tone for post-rock and all the cool stuff that would happen in the early 2000s. Just love it. Fantastic. At number 43... it's Metallica, Ride the Lightning, their second album. Yeah, I loved Kill 'Em All. I thought it was fantastic. I was in a band that was real similar to Metallica at the time, so when these guys broke, I was really excited to hear, what they could do, combining the speed thrash with some of the energetic elements of punk and some of the expansive nature of prog. I love Metallica. Could have gone with Master of Puppets. Could have gone with Injustice for All. But Ride the Lightning is my favorite Metallica album. Always has been. Always will be. At number 42, I'm going to go with an obscure one. Most of you guys probably never heard of this artist. It's Ultra Vivid Scene Joy. 1967 to 1990 is the name of the album. It's their second album. I say they, but really, Ultra Vivid Scene is just one guy, Kurt Rolski. He did 3 albums. There was a debut album. This is the second album. Then he had a third album called Rev. And then he just like disappeared from the entire music scene, never to be heard from again. One of these great 4 AD releases. This album is just fantastic, and it even has Kim Deal from the Breeders and Pixies on it. You cannot go wrong if you like great music, man. Ultra Vivid Scene at number 41. It's Stereolab and their great masterpiece, Emperor Tomato Ketchup. I love this album. I love Stereolab. I love how they take that space age bachelor pad music, that Euro pop feel, combine it with easy listening and some soft jazz. They're just nuts, man. You really do need Stereolab in your life. If you haven't heard these guys, you will absolutely freak out at just how amazing these guys are. Such a great band, so many great albums, but this is their masterpiece. Yes, it is. At number 40. Sabado's Bake Sale. Let me cover up that baby butt. Don't want to get in any trouble from folks here. Oh man, I am a huge fan of Sabado. I love Lou Barlow. I love this band so much. Could have gone with the Harmacy. Could have gone with Sabado 3. But Bake Sale is my favorite album. License to Confuse. Magnet's Coil. Not a Friend. Just every track on here is dynamite. They call this lo-fi, but there's, the production value is fine, but the songs are just absolutely incredible. I love Sabado. I love that album so much. At number 39. Yeah, let's do a little bit of post-rock and Godspeed You Black Emperor. Lift your skinny fists. What the heck is this thing even called? Lift your skinny fists like antennas to heaven. It's a double album. There's 4 songs on here. If that doesn't make you think of Soft Machine's Third or Mike Oldfield's Incantations or Yes Tales from Topographic Oceans, I don't know what does, but this album here, I love Godspeed. All their albums are great. This is my favorite from them, but I could have picked any of their albums. Just amazing. At number 38, it's Joy Division's second album, Closer. I definitely could have gone with the Unknown Pleasures. That's fantastic too, but I think Closer is just a little bit more mature. The songs are just a little bit better produced, and they kind of found their footing, and you do even start to hear the little germs, the little genesis of New Order starting to pop up in the music here. Ian Curtis died shortly after this. Everybody knows the tragic story of his suicide on the eve of their first U.S. tour. But man, oh man, there's a reason Joy Division, with only 2 albums under their belt, gets all the love. Well-deserved. Fantastic stuff. At number 37, it's Radiohead's The Bends. Yeah, you probably thought I was going with OK Computer or Kid A, but I love the Bends. Hey, I'm the guy that loved Pablo Honey, okay? I thought the first Radiohead album was absolutely spectacular. The Bends really does kind of split the difference between the progressive leanings of later Radiohead and the more grunge sound of Pablo Honey. This one here, their second album, right smack dab down the middle. You've got rockers, you've got ballads, you've got so much great stuff on here. My favorite Radiohead album, without a doubt. I just absolutely love it. That's at number 37. At number 36, we're going to cheat a little bit. This is not a real album. It's a compilation. It's Minor Threat, man. This has got their 2 EPs that they had put out, previously, combine them into a 12-inch. And oh, man, I almost went with Out of Step, which came out after this. But the songs are a little slower and longer. And there's only like 6 songs on it, so it really doesn't even feel like an album. But this one here, oh, my goodness. Every song on here, DC, hardcore, Man, I'm a fan of DC hardcore. You had, besides Minor Threat, you had Bad Brains and Government Issue and Second Wind and Scream and Marginal Man. Yeah, Scream is the band that Dave Grohl came from. But the DC hardcore scene was just incredible, and Minor Threat was the absolute very best of the DC hardcore bands. If you could find a tighter band than Minor Threat, you let me know, because I've never heard one. At number 35, it's the debut album from Boston, boys and girls. Yeah, I really don't like anything else they ever did. Don't Look Back, had a couple of good tracks. The third album was terrible, but the debut Boston album is perfect from start to finish. It even sounds like prog, man. Foreplay Long Time. That is definitely a prog track. And if you can point to a better pop single than More Than a Feeling, please do so, because I've never heard one. At number 34. How about the Circle Jerks, Group Sex? Yeah, I love this album. Keith Morrissey had left Black Flag, formed the Circle Jerks, and this first Circle Jerks album is so good, man. Deny Everything, I Just Want Some Skank, Beverly Hills Operation, Wasted, Paid Vacation, Don't Care, Live Fast, Die Young, What's Your Problem? Oh, every song on here is great. It is just a fun party album. It's a punk album, obviously. But if you just want to have a lot of fun with a great, great band playing great, great songs, man, Circle Jerks, I love it so much. At number 33, it's Wire's third album, 154. I almost went with Chairs Missing or Pink Flag. I'm the guy that actually loves all the Wire stuff. Their dancey stuff they did in the 80s. Their more alternative stuff around the turn of the century. But this is the album for me, man. I love everything about this record. There's never been an album that sounds like this. It is a unicorn. It is a singularity. It is so unique and so different and so cool. It wraps you up in its own little world, and it just doesn't ever really want to let you go. So that's at number 33. At number 32, how about The Cure's debut album, Three Imaginary Boys? This was their debut in the UK. In the US, they kind of rejigged stuff, and their first album was called Boys Don't Cry, which was obviously the name of the hit on here. But I love The Cure. I could have gone with their second or third album, 7 Seconds or Faith. Those are great. I love Disintegration. I just love The Cure. I think they're amazing. Robert Smith is a genius. This album is incredible. 1979. What a great year for music 1979 was, boys and girls. And at number 31, we're staying with California punk. It's the Dead Kennedys' debut album, Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. This is the most prog rock of all the punk albums that I can think of. They had a dude in the band called 6025 at this point. I guess he was fired because he was just way too into the prog. There's a song on here called Ill in the Head, which is the proggiest thing I've ever heard. But these songs, man, Stealing People's Mail, Kill the Poor, Forward to Death, When You Get Drafted, Let's Lynch the Landlord, California Uber Alice, oh man, Funland at the Beach, and of course, Holiday in Cambodia's on here. Come on, man, it's the Dead Kennedys, it's Jello Biafra, it's East Bay Ray, it's Klaus Florid, it's amazing. Okay, what do we got next? I just got vinyl like piling up. I had to take a second, kind of sort it out a little bit. At number 30, it's the debut album from Van Halen. Oh man, I remember when I heard Van Halen for the first time. I bought a cassette in St. Thomas and Charlotte Amalia. They had a little record store there. I bought Van Halen 2 on cassette, actually. And there's no images or anything on the cassette. I had no idea who these people are. I had no idea what they looked like. I half thought that David Lee Roth was African American. I had no idea. I'd never heard anybody sing like that. I'd never heard anybody play guitar like Eddie. So I went and got the first album like a couple months later. And it's even better, man. I love those first 2 Van Halen albums so much. It's got Eruption on it, Jamie's Crying, Running with the Devil. Yeah, it's their best album, and it's not even close. At number 28, from 1979, It's the Police's second album, Regata de Blanc. This album is almost perfect. I love every song on here very, very much. But I can only give it like a 9.5 out of 10 because for some peculiar reason, every single song on this album fades out. It's kind of a bummer because there's so much great stuff on here. It's more than just Message in a Bottle or Walking on the Moon. You've got Contract, Does Everyone Stare, No Time This Time, Bed's Too Big Without You. Their debut album was a lot of fun at Landos del Amor. By their third album, they were starting to become big old superstars with Zenyatta Mandata and Da Doo 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 and Da 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 and all that kind of stuff. But this is the album right here, right before they broke big time. They had everything to prove. They wanted to take on the world. They wanted to conquer the world. And I think they did it with this album. At number 28, it's Pavement, Slanted and Enchanted, their first full-length album. Stephen Malkmus and the Boys, slacker rock, if you will. But this album kind of set the tone for a whole new wave of indie and lo-fi bands to come up in their wake. And the songs here are just so incredible. I'd never heard a band like this before. I'd never heard anybody with Malkmus's vocal delivery before. I just love this record. Could have gone with Crooked Rain, or Wowie Zowie. I even like the last two, Terror Twilight and Bright in the Corners. I love all 5 Pavement albums. What a band. What an incredible band. At number 27, we're going to the year 1979, is it? No, it's 78. The Cars dropped both their debut album and their sophomore album in 78. My bad. Panorama was 79. Kill me, all right? I could have gone with the first Cars album, but I just really, really love the second album. I don't think it gets nearly enough credit. You know, the first album had all those hits on it, but you really don't hear these songs on the radio much anymore, man. Let's Go, Since I Held You, All I Can Do, Double Life, Night Spots, Lust for Kicks, Dangerous Type. Every song in here is a winner. You got the incredible Vargas album cover. You got the Roy Thomas Baker production. And this album is perfect from start to finish. I love Candy-O. At number 26, Rainbow Rising, boys and girls. It was the first time I'd heard Ronnie James Dio sing was when I picked up this album. I think I got it from somebody at school had recommended it, and I stole it from them or borrowed it, whatever. I don't know what happened, but all I knew is that Richie Blackmore had a new band and Cozy Powell's drumming, and they got this dude named Ronnie James Dio on vocals, and I'd never heard anything like it, man. Stargazer. What a song, man. Tarot Woman, Starstruck, A Light in the Black. This album's perfect. Is it prog? Not really. It's not a prog album, but it's a great album, man. At number 25, getting to the nitty gritty here. It's Broken Social Scene. Yeah, You Forgot It in People from 2002. One of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my entire life. This is a Canadian collective. They have up to like 19 different members in the band at any given time, including Feist, including members of Metric and Stars and all these other Canadian art rock bands. The label is Arts and Crafts, and that gives you an idea of what the bands on that label are all about. They're very artistic. It's art pop, baroque pop, whatever you want to call it. But if you like your melodies buried deep in dissonance and distortion, this record has so many hooks, man, but you got to dig for them. You got to find them. It's like, digging for buried treasure. I just absolutely adore this. It is progressive. It's not prog, but it is very progressive. At number 24, how about some Black Sabbath in your life, man? I almost went with Paranoid. That for years was my favorite Sabbath album, but since I'm getting a little bit older, man, Volume 4 just keeps creeping up, and I just keep loving the cocaine haze that seems to sit over all these songs. Changes, Supernaut, Snowblind, Cornucopia, Laguna Sunrise. Just an amazing album. I love Black Sabbath. So great, so great. At number 23, we're going to do a debut album from 1983, and it's not the Violent Femmes. It's the Smiths. Oh, man, I know people hate Morrissey. And honestly, for good reason, man. He's a jerk. But He's an amazing songwriter, an amazing lyricist, an amazing vocalist. And this first Smiths album, man, is just everything. I remember when I got this in 83. It changed my life. I listened to this thing so much. And then Meat is Murder came out, and then they came out with this Hatful of Hollow, which were like all these songs, but re-recorded, just incredible. I love everything the Smiths ever did, and honestly, I like almost everything Morrissey's done solo. I just can't stand the guy. At number 22, how about Death Cab for Cutie Transatlanticism? Yeah. I love this thing, man. Their fourth album, right before they got signed to Atlantic. And, showed up on the OC and became big old stars. And, Ben Gibbard marrying, Zooey Deschanel and all that. But before all that nonsense, there was this album right here, Transatlanticism. Just amazing. I love their first three albums. Songs about airplanes. We have The Facts and We're Voting Yes, or the Photo album. All real good, but Transatlanticism from start to finish is just beautiful, just perfect. This was when Ben Gibbard and Chris Walla were still together, and the two of them together made absolute magic with this. Yes, they did. At number 21. Yeah, we're back to 1979, and it's Talking Heads, Fear of Music, their third album, and for my money, their best album. I know a lot of people really love Remain in Light. Such a great album, but this is the second album produced by Brian Eno for the band. Songs about buildings and food was the first one he produced. He didn't produce 77, their first album, but this one here is where you start getting all the weird ethno, rhythms and polyrhythms. Zimba starts the album out and really sets the tone, but every song on here is great, man. Air, Heaven, just love it. It's my favorite Talking Heads, and it's not even close. At number 20. You knew I had to put a Bowie album in, but am I going to go with Low? Am I going to go with Scary Monsters? I'm going with Ziggy. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Ziggy Stardust. This album's absolutely perfect from 1972. Hunky Dory, you could maybe say is perfect too, but there's something about, the storytelling and the whole, packaging of Ziggy that just kind of rises it above everything else in Bowie's discography. And the fact that the songs are so doggone good doesn't hurt any at all. At number 19, let's go north of the border again, boys and girls, and Arcade Fire's debut album, Funeral. I love Arcade Fire. I love Win Butler. I could listen to him sing The Phone Book. He's one of those guys for me that it doesn't really matter. The music is incredible on here. I do like other Arcade Fire records. Neon Bible's great. The Suburbs is cool. Reflector's really cool. But I always go back to Funeral. It's one of those indie records that's, on Mount Rushmore indie rock, I guess. But, there's a reason it's actually every bit as good as its reputation, which is rare because a lot of times when, albums like this get, blown up and hyped up, usually there's a big disappointment when you finally put it on the turntable and give it a spin. But not with Arcade Fire. Not this album. Funeral is perfect. I love it. At number 18. Oh, you didn't see this one coming, did you, boys and girls? It's Aerosmith's fourth album, Rocks. I loved Aerosmith as a kid, man. I absolutely adore the debut album, Write Me, Mamakin, Dream On, Walking the Dog, Get Your Wings, That Train Kept A-Rollin', Toys in the Attic is absolutely perfect, but Rocks is the one for me, man. Back in the Saddle, Sick as a Dog, Last Child, but my absolute favorite Aerosmith song is on here and why I picked it over Toys in the Attic, and that is the great Lick and a Promise. Oh, man, do I love that song. Oh, it's so good. Okay, we got two left, boys and girls. We got two left at number 17. It's Queen and their third album, Sheer Heart Attack. This is where they started breaking out from, the kind of prog rock feel and sound of their first two albums and just throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks. This has got prog, this has got rock, this has got hard rock, this has got balladry, this has got everything on it, and it's got Killer Queen, man. I just love this album. Brighton rock, tenement funster, every song's great flick of a wrist. This is where Queen really showed that they had the potential to take on the world, and obviously they did just that in short order. And finally, at number 16 for my favorite albums of all time that are not prog rock, this is number 16, and this is Deerhoof, Friend Opportunity. I almost went with Apple O. I almost went with Offend Maggie, but at the end of the day, Friend Opportunity is the one I'm going with. This was right before Ed joined the band, so they're a three-piece at this point. You got Greg on drums, you got Satori on vocals, and you got John on guitar, and that's it. They were just a three-piece at this point, but somehow, some way, they put together a record that just blows my mind. It's so involved. The songs are so interesting. I just love Deerhoof. You guys know that. I'll go on and on and on about how much I love that band and how incredible they are, but you know that, so I don't need to do that. Anyway, that was my wrap up, and we went a little bit longer than I wanted to, so I'm going to sign off and wish you all the very, very best. Have a great day. Peace in the Middle East, free Tibet, and God save the king. Save that king. And Ron DeSantis, too. He needs some help.